time for an October update on my HO scale Central Vermont Railway. I haven't actually done an update for about 6 weeks, maybe closer to 8 weeks now. The reason for that is I've been very busy. I've actually prepared 2 clinics and presented 2 clinics. The first clinic I did was on scratch building prototype structures based on photographs, and I did that for the Mid-Atlantic Region RPM meet just outside Baltimore. And that was back in late September. For that clinic, I actually showed how I came up with the plans and the drawings and started scratch building this model of an agricultural implements dealer in Ennisburg Falls, Vermont. If all goes according to plan, you're seeing the prototype photo now, and this is the model as it stands now. It's entirely styrene. Obviously, it needs to be finished. I got it as far as I could for the clinic, presented the clinic, and then I had to start getting ready for another clinic that I presented. Completely different topic, this time on the entire layout and the basis of the layout, which is the Central Vermont's Richford branch up in northern Vermont. And that clinic I did for the NMRA's Mid-Eastern Regional Convention back last weekend, which would have been Columbus Day weekend. So in the past 6 to 8 weeks, I've developed 2 new clinics. I'm happy to say they were both pretty well received. And luckily now the layout clinic is one I plan to continue updating over time. The other major accomplishment is the actually over the Columbus Day holiday itself on last Monday, Stick Harris came over, and I have to give him credit for this because this is really his baby. I didn't do anything but kind of hold the wood in a few places. So he built this swing. The swing gate is at long last complete, at least the woodworking part of the swing gate. And as you can see, it slides out of the way nicely. It slides all the way back to allow a clear opening to the layout area. In fact, I'm going to cut here and allow Stick to demonstrate the first passage through the lift-gated protected entrance. You're about to attempt the first test swing of the swing gate. It's a lot of swings in one thing, but Stick Harris presents the gate. It begins to spin. You notice how it clears and allows to walk completely through, past the Foster's Cup, back over to the other side, and the gate swings closed. Still needed are some bracing underneath because it is just a piece of plywood, so a couple of hinges. But we'll figure that out later. That's all for now. Tip of the month this month actually has to do with the fascia panels themselves. In this case, you see here we have a nice rounded corner on the fascia, and that's because what you don't want to do is have people walk by here and catch the very hard, stiff edges of the fascia. They could actually, conceivably, you could cut yourself on some of the sharp exposed edges on this. And it just doesn't look as neat and professional when you have a big gap between one piece of board here and one board here. Then you have this raw butt edge joint here. I suppose you could put a mitered cut along the length of this, but that seems like overkill. So what I did instead is I simply filled the gap in the corner with wood putty or wood filler, which is this stuff right here. Minwax stainable wood filler, comes in a squeeze tube. And I filled that, allowed that to dry thoroughly. Typically about 24 to 48 hours even probably is not overkill. And it's rock hard. I then took my trusty orbital sander and fired it up and just smoothed it out. Rounded the corners as I smoothed it, and as you can see on this other corner over here, I don't really want to sand right in front of my camera and get dust all over the lens on my camera. You can see here the corner here is nice and rounded and smooth, and people can go around the corner here and not catch themselves on it and not tear the fascia, and more importantly, it looks nice and smooth and professional. So that's the tip of the month. With all the work I've been doing on the bench work and the fascia and then preparing for the clinics, I really don't have a completed model of the month to show you. But what I do have is a start at a model, and in this case, it's a wooden overpass. This is a Monroe Models Country Road Bridge. It is their kit number 2007, and that's the cover sheet from the packaging. And it's a nice wooden overpass. It's entirely laser cut wood, and there's a couple of small pieces of strip wood to put some trim and stuff on it, but 99.9% of this model is laser cut wood. But its primarily purpose is to screen where the Canadian Pacific line disappears off stage here. Please ignore this piece of cork roadbed you see right here. That is not going to be in the finished layout as track. I'm actually going to bend the track this direction in order to just hide it in the end underneath the overpass. The idea is there'll be a hill here, some hill and trees in the background, and that'll disappear there. But the structure itself is kind of neat. It's right now it has the sub deck in place on it. It's all, like I said, all laser cut. Each of these bent pieces is a one-piece unit, and then you put the trim boards on top of it and glue it in place. Very interesting construction, very nice construction, and I'm looking forward to getting that done. Hopefully by the next video update, which I plan to be in a couple of weeks, this bridge will be complete, and we might even have some scenery in that corner, and I can show you the effect of the train disappearing underneath the overpass.